Hello everyone, welcome back to some more World of Warships, and today we are going to be talking about the Tier 6 British cruiser, the Leander. And Leander is definitely a step in the right direction whenever you first get her. But she does really suck when she's stock. I mean, that's normally what you expect with stock cruisers. So we are currently playing on Two Brothers. We have a Sean Horse, Texas, 2 Connings, 2 Belfast, ARP Ashigara, Leander, Kirov, Mahan, Farragut, and a Minikaze. On the enemy team, there is a Gneisenau, Texas, Koenig, Congo, Pensacola, 2 Belfast, Emerald, Mahan, Mutsuki, Nicholas, and a Minikaze. So, the whole aspect of the British cruiser is they have good aspects of their abilities, such as the pretty decent armor piercing with the short fuse, as well as the individual torpedoes, and all the cruisers up from tier 4 and up have heals and hydroacoustics and smoke, but they are very, very, very fragile. They are extremely fragile. So you really have to be aware of your positioning whenever you're facing other opponents. And right now we do see that there is the Gneisenau, a Texas, and a Koenig currently moving towards A. We have a friendly Minikaze, Farragut, and Belfast that are trying to hold them off as best as possible. There is an enemy Minikaze that just popped up, but there's also another destroyer hanging around somewhere. I believe it's probably going to be either a Farragut or... sorry, either the Mahan or the Nicholas. And it's probably going to pop up here soon. Now, Minikaze is backing up, probably due to the fact that he was spotted due to the fact of the Belfast, since the Belfast does have radar and hydro. So I'm currently going to try to occupy the smoke, because that's what British cruisers really rely on, is the smoke and not being seen or detected. Now, fortunately for us, there's no real cruisers at this tier, at least at tier 6, that would have sonar. But there is still hydroacoustics, so we do have to be wary of that. But unfortunately, since you are tier 6, sometimes you get matched up with cruisers that are either tier 8, and the Belfast, the New Orleans, and even the Chapiav will have radars. So you do have to be mindful of where you are and where they are, more importantly. Now we do see an Emerald trying to come around the island. That island is just short enough that allows us to shoot over the island and actually get some citadels on him. And the smoke from the Belfast did dissipate just for a little bit, and I had to pop my own, but we should be able to take out this Emerald fairly easily, and it looks like the ARP Ashigara did take out the enemy Emerald. Now, whenever you're setting a smoke, do not sit still. And since the British cruisers have hydroacoustics, we can actually use that to make sure that we don't have any nasty surprises. But look who's actually kind of coming towards us at the moment. There is a Koenig and a Texas pushing into A at the moment. And all that we have over here are 2 destroyers and 3 cruisers. Our battleship on the south side decides to go the complete and opposite direction. Per usual, always happens. You'd expect them, you know, at least assist, but of course not. So, gonna try our luck on taking out this Nicholas, since the British cruiser line has a very specific type of armor piercing where the detonation rate is a lot lower. It's a shorter fuse rate, which allows you to penetrate destroyer armor without actually overpanning, and we get our very first kill of the game. Very, very nice. But Mars smoke is probably going to dissipate here soon. And there is a Koenig and a Texas very, very, very close to us. But here's one other little aspect that I have, I guess, kind of against the British cruisers. Is there... it technically would be deceleration. If you're coming from a stop and trying to slow down, it takes a while for your ship to actually slow down, and my smoke is gone. I have about 49 seconds before I can reuse it, and I'm just gonna try to play aggressively. And let's see if we can take out this Texas. Looks like the Texas did take a torpedo. So I'm just going to try to take out the Texas with my main guns. Try to keep myself as angled as much as possible, but that's really useless since the armor is extremely weak. Now the friendly frigate does take out the enemy Texas. Now all that's left is the Koenig, and British cruiser line have torpedoes, and I can fire them individually. And look at this, we're actually getting secondary hits on this Koenig. And, ooh, he is looking at us at the really wrong way. But, there we go. Took out the enemy Koenig, and the Gneisen now went down as well, which meant I actually survived and lived through that. That was extremely quick pace there, and fortunately we were able to survive that, and we took out the Koenig. So, a very intense moment, and that kind of really does portray what one aspect of the British cruisers. Now, I will say what just happened was I was extremely lucky. That's it. Normally, you have to play I don't want to say passively, you can play aggressively, but you have to be more aware of your situation, of where you're at. You can't just rush in like I did. I've had instances of a cruiser just rushing me and in my Bismarck, and essentially it's the British cruiser. Bow in, fired my shots. He went from full health to 0 in one salvo. So even from bow end, yeah, don't think that will always work. This situation was just the case that I was kind of desperate, to say the very least. But I think it was still a good demonstration on the British cruisers. Now, range on the Leander is kind of abysmal when you first get her. I believe it's only about 12 kilometers. And your detection is about 10 kilometers. So you have about 2 kilometer difference between when you're detected and when you can able to fire on an enemy ship. But sometimes you just really have to work your way through the Leander. I'm kind of having a difficult situation at the time, because I don't want to say the British cruisers are tough, but they're a different style of play versus how other cruisers act or react. But we do secure the Pensacola. So, taking a look at the Leander, she's not a bad ship. You go from single mounted guns to dual mount, which is always an improvement. I feel like it's more reliable as far as your shots go, but maybe it's just mental. But let's go ahead and take a look at her stats. Survivability, you start off with 24,500. Your armor, once again, is abysmal, 13 to 100 millimeters. If you take a quick look at the very front plating, 13 millimeters thick. Yes, guns with 203 millimeters will easily penetrate your armor and overmatch it, even no matter how much angle you do. Now, if we take a quick look at the Citadel, it's actually fairly well below the water level compared to the Emerald, which is fantastic. And this is going to be how it is all the way up to you get to the Neptune, which is the Neptune's a little bit different, as well as the Minotaur. But this is kind of how they're going to be like for the time. But your major issue is the armor is extremely abysmally thin. Now, artillery, like I was pointing out, you get dual guns, 4 each. You have 2 front, 2 in the rear, and they're 152 millimeters, so normal. And your reload time is 7.5 seconds. Turn time on the guns are 23.4 seconds. And dispersion is 108 meters for a range of 12 kilometers. Now, damage-wise, it's pretty good. 3,100. That is fantastic. So you have 4 dual secondary armaments of 102 millimeter shells with a reload time of 2.7 seconds. Max HE damage. This is the only time you'll see that a British cruiser can actually set fires with your secondary guns. Max damage is 1,500 with a 6% fire chance, and they have a range of 5.3 kilometers. Not bad. A little bit better placement on the Leander than the Emerald by far. It's not in the rear of the ship as it was in the Emerald. Torpedoes, you have 2 quads, 533 millimeters, one on each side, obviously, with a reload time of 106 seconds, and a range of 6 kilometers with a max damage of 15,733. Pretty good. Not the quickest in the world. They're about 59 knots, but it's a tier 6. They should be getting a little bit faster as you go up the tiers. Now, AA defense is alright. It's nothing that I would actively seek out aircrafts. You have 2 quads, 12.7 millimeters, 5 Orlikins, 20 millimeters, 2 8 40 millimeters, and these things are really cool looking. These are 40 millimeters Vickers. They have 8 guns. That's really cool. They have a range of 2.5 kilometers. You can see kind of the issue with the anti-aircraft guns is they have a very short range. Now, your secondary guns do have a 5-kilometer range, but yeah, it's nothing really impressive. Now, maneuverability is pretty nice. 32.5 knots. It's about the same speed as the Cleveland. You still have that benefit of when you're turning, you don't lose speed. Now, the turning circle radius is 640 meters, and your rudder shift time is 11.0 seconds. So a little bit lazy, but like I said, it's a stock cruiser, and the rudder shift time does improve once you get the other hull upgrade. So if you take a look at the concealment, detectability range by sea is 10 kilometers. Now if we look at the Cleveland, it is actually a detectability of 12.6 kilometers with a range of, I believe, 14.6 kilometers. So it's definitely an improvement, and for your information, you do get a range increase to your guns, which extended out to 13.2. So it's definitely a little bit better than the Cleveland's 2-kilometer range difference between being detected and being able to fire at someone. So it's kind of beneficial. It's not something really particularly great at the moment, but like I said, as you fully progress through the British cruiser tiers, the concealment's going to get a little bit lower because you'll have both the concealment expert from the captain as well as the concealment module that you can add on. So it's definitely an improvement. But other than that, this is going to be it for this episode of World of Warships. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. You guys have a great and fantastic day. Zaijian.